And that is exactly where we are right now here at Disneyland. You know, after finishing the regular season with 28 turnovers, the second most in the NFL behind the Vikings, the Seahawks did not commit a turnover in all 3 of their postseason games this year. They're the first Super Bowl champion to go their entire postseason run without committing a turnover. We must have some Seahawks fans back here. I don't know. But I think this says more about Sam Darnold. That was a knock on him, the way they would turn the ball over, the interceptions. For him not to do it the entire postseason and not do it last night in the Super Bowl is a big deal. What did Sam Darnold prove last night to you?
Well, listen, he's a champion. Let's get that out the way right now. He's proven he can be a champion, that he can captain a championship team, and that, you know, his epitaph was premature. The epitaph that was written about him was a bit premature. This guy was on his 5th team, his 4th team over the last 4 years, and he goes out there. Didn't have a lights-out game, you know what I'm saying? Only completed about 50% of his passes, threw for about 202 yards, you know, 5.3 yards per attempt, the second fewest in a game this season. I get all of that. But in the end, look at what he did to get here. See, you can't ignore what that brother did going up against the MVP and Matthew Stafford in the NFC Championship game. 346 yards, 3 touchdown passes, was flinging that football. And another reason you can't forget is because you see what the Minnesota Vikings look like without him. Okay, because he was with them last year, and then you see him here this year. Look at what Seattle looks like with him as opposed to Geno Smith. Look at what Minnesota looks like without him as opposed to J.J. McCarthy. This is what Sam Darnold has done. So, again, you're not talking about him in the same breath you're talking about Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, you know, at present Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. But you are saying there's nobody else from that 2018 class that won a Super Bowl. He's the first. And you look at his teammates and how they speak about him and how they feel about him. They are quite comfortable with this man behind center leading the franchise into the future, and that says it all.
His Super Bowl performance obviously was so spectacular, but I do feel like it was the NFC Championship game against the Rams that maybe proved the doubters wrong. What did he prove to you, Marcus?
He proved to me that in particular games, when Clint Kubiak and this offense handed him the football, he was good enough to deliver at a high clip. You're talking about the NFC Championship, but a week prior, you're talking about the overtime win against the Rams as well. So Sam was in every particular situation that you could be in on his route to winning a Super Bowl, as you alluded to, Stephen A. And I think a lot of times, man, like, I feel like Sam this year was in this ever-revolving cycle of every game proving that he wasn't the previous quarterback at every single stop he was. That was the conversation we were having on TV. Wait, it's coming. Sam going to turn the football over. We saw games when he turned the football over at a high clip. But the fact that he was able to overcome that. But, RC, to me and Cam, nothing speaks to Sam Darnold performances this year more than that NFC Championship. Like, I understand that he's a Super Bowl champion, and what he did last night was good enough by not turning the football over and making a few plays when they were there. But going toe-to-toe with Matthew Stafford and showing not only the league but your own franchise that if I need to throw for 350, you can have the confidence to put the ball in my hand, and I'll deliver that for you. I think that spoke volumes about where he is now as opposed to all of those stops before.
In my opinion, Sam Darnold proved what no one thought he'd ever prove, and that's that you can win a championship because of Sam Darnold. And I don't care how much you point to this game. Look at what this defense was able to do to C.J. Stroud. Look at what this defense was able to do to Justin Herbert. Sam Darnold was playing against a top-5 defense just as much as Drake May was. What Sam Darnold has proved is that he's trustworthy. Do you need me to make plays in the 4th quarter of Week 16 against the Los Angeles Rams? I absolutely can. Do you need me to be able to go tit for tat and play for play with the MVP, Matthew Stafford, in the NFC Championship? I can. Do you need me to just protect the ball and make enough plays in the Super Bowl so we can win? I can. Sam Darnold proved that until they bury you, you're not dead. He proved that they can write your obituary, but it ain't time to read it. And so when you think about the way that people responded after the Super Bowl, Devin Witherspoon, talking about all the things that have been said about Sam Darnold and how he proved all the doubters wrong. Hearing somebody like Ernest Jones say he shows up to work first every single day. I know how much he cared, and that's why I stepped out on the limb for him. What he proved inside this locker room, in my opinion, seems to be more than he proved outside of it, and that's the most important thing.
That was eloquent of me.
I'm trying to tell you, he was letting it flow.
But it ain't time to read it.
Listen,
That's beautiful.
preacher man, right there. But that was beautiful.
That's what I got to give it to him.
But
I love
listen,
that.
but I will say this about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold knows that yesterday wasn't his best performance. I mean, that's abundantly clear.
Yeah.
But one thing that I would say, as you observe that performance yesterday and the performance in the postseason, it's extremely hard to not turn the football over. That's elite. Contrary to what it is, having 0 turnovers on the offensive side of the football, that's Tom Brady is, Peyton Manning is. And I don't care who the quarterback is. So now as you put the microscope to other performances, you start to realize, like, hey, in these type of games, smart, not conservative. Throwing the football away may be a plus. Throwing the football at the feet. Those decision-makings that Sam Darnold had displayed time and time and time again is the main reason why the Seattle Seahawks is Super Bowl 60 world champion.
Let's also remember one other thing real quick, Shay. Jigba had to go into the locker room because of a concussion.
And nothing stopped.
Nothing stopped. Nothing stopped.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, too, for Sam Darnold. I mean, this is his first year with Seattle.
Yeah.
Guy had 17 wins.
The bar high.
First time working with that offense, and he just went in and won the Super Bowl.
Can I say this, Sue? Likability is a very important quality. To be able to move from locker room to locker room, be supported by the players in that locker room, that's important. To have people in that locker room feel like it's okay to support you publicly. It's okay to say that we want you, that we love you, that we believe in you. And you saw that from everybody. And it also shows that more organizations fail players than players fail players.
That's a
He
fact.
was in the right space. He's had an opportunity to develop. They didn't give up on him too early, at least in the league, in the NFL. And now it's paid dividends, not only himself, but for the Seattle Seahawks.
I guess you're right about the likability part.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at understanding this, I'm sorry, real quick, Shay. What Clint Kubiak was able to extract from Sam Darnold needs to be studied. Because when you start to see the inabilities and the insufficiencies of young quarterbacks in this league, the common denominator is smart decisions and being able to protect the football. What he was able to do, it was almost like he flipped the switch in the postseason that stopped and negated all the league.
I'm not denying that.
I would agree with that, but I think the thing that Clint Kubiak did more than anything was instill confidence.
Yeah.
Because Sam showed us in Minnesota he could play at a high level. Like a lot of people.
But he also had flare-ups too.
But that's my point, right? Clint, he threw 40 passes in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You ain't playing around your quarterback when you drop him back to throw 40 times. You think about the Rams game that we alluded to in the playoffs. For Clint Kubiak to feel like Sam Darnold could go toe-to-toe with Matthew Stafford and say, we have to have scores on these drives, and to say, because we talked about it weeks prior. Well, if Seattle can run the football and if they can do these things, I know they had a great night on the ground. He still threw, I believe, 38 passes in the Super Bowl. So again, Clint Kubiak took Minnesota and said, this guy can be a high-volume thrower if I can keep him away from turning the football over. And I think that instilled a lot of confidence in Sam
I don't
Darnold.
disagree with anything that y'all said, but I will say this as a non-football player on this panel. It does appear to be a lot easier when you got an elite defense that's letting you know, not only are we going to shut everything down, but you're going to get numerous bites at the apple, and you can afford to make mistakes because we're not letting them capitalize off of it. That does need to be said.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They only scored 1 offensive touchdown.
Yeah, but we're a few weeks removed from CJ throwing 4 and fumbling. So, and that defense was elite.
Humbling, no doubt.
Well, Sam Darnold, nonetheless, wakes up this morning a Super Bowl champion. I know something he said last night he couldn't even fathom, so pretty impressive from a guy who's been on 5 different NFL teams. Coming up here on First Take, how much criticism does Drake May, the other side, deserve for the Patriots' Super Bowl performance? Maybe not as much as you think. First Take rolls along from Disneyland.